Hi guys, thanks for tuning in to the channel again. Have had probably 27 emails within the last 6 months asking me if we're ever going to mention the MSK-1 by Ultimate Survival Tips and David Pilzinski. Truth of the matter is, we've had this knife in our possession for 10 months and we've had our eye on it the whole time. So hold on, we're going to start with part 1 on the MSK-1. All right, welcome back. Now the reason that I said part 1 on the MSK-1 is because this knife has, first of all, it's full of controversy, and that's what I'm going to handle in part 1 are the 4 controversies. And then for the next few weeks you're going to be seeing videos detailing different aspects of this knife, because there are so many features in it that I want to cover. I think they deserve to be given some detail. So let's just talk about those controversies first of all. There's 4 of them that I know of. Number 1, and these came through emails, by the way, and also through some stuff that we saw on YouTube that was put out there, some pretty negative things. But number 1, it's the grind on the knife. Number 2, it's the type of steel that the knife is made out of. Number 3 is, can it chop like an axe? And number 4 is the price. Is the knife really worth that? So let me just kind of go over this with you. Now, I've been on the phone over the course of the past year with David Pilzinski. And during that time, there's a few things that I've learned that a lot of folks don't understand and don't know. So we're gonna talk about the grind on the knife. Whenever David decided to do this knife, it took him 3 years to go from the drawing board to putting out his first short line of production. And there were like 119 knives during that first time, that first run. And unfortunately, David lives in a part of Pennsylvania, and his manufacturer that did those first 119 knives lived somewhere else. So he wasn't on site every single day watching every single knife, every single thing that happened. And because of that, those first 119 knives were put out and had a hollow grind on the blade. Okay? As soon as he found that out, he stopped production and he switched manufacturers who produced the knife for him now. And immediately they all came out with a flat grind, as this knife has. Now, I've had this knife since probably January, late January, early February, somewhere around there. I don't know for sure. This is October right now. You see the Illinois weather here behind me. It's cold today. 2 days ago it was 85 degrees, and today it's in the 40s. So it's a little bit chilly, a little bit windy back here, so I apologize for that. The first 119 were hollow ground. The rest of them have been flat grind. I've had this since then. Now, there were those that contacted him and told him how displeased they were with that particular knife, and I believe that he switched them out. But then there are others who opted to keep it because they like a hollow ground. So not everybody is against having a hollow ground. I am not one of those. I would rather have a flat grind or a Scandi grind on a knife that I'm going to take out in the bush, because a hollow grind really limits the performance of a knife out in the bush. Okay, so if you buy one of these knives, it's not going to come with a hollow ground unless you get it from somebody that bought it, you know, last year sometime or 2 years ago. They're all flat grind knives, so you know there's no reason to continue harping on that mess there. All right, so I think I've answered that. Number 2 was on the steel. A lot of guys were griping and complaining and giving negative comments on the steel that was used. It's D2 tool steel. Very hard, very resilient. And the 2 things that were mentioned to me was number 1, that they are very hard to sharpen, and number 2, they are very, very brittle and susceptible to breakage. Well, let's talk about the second one first, the being brittle and susceptible to breakage. This particular knife that he puts out is a full tang knife. I mean, it's full tang. And then on the inside, it does have some holes. It's skeletized, let me put it to you that way, to fit the survival kit that he puts inside of here. But it's not enough to compromise the knife. So it's a full tang knife, and it's a full 1/4 inch stock is how this knife started out. Now if it was a 3/16 knife, if it was an 1/8 inch knife, something like that, 1/8 inch knives that are built on this type of a platform, because of their length and their girth, they are susceptible to breakage, especially down along the blade's edge where it thins out. But on this particular blade right here, if you'll see, if you haven't seen one up close, you should, because it stays 1/4 inch all the way down about halfway point of the knife, and then it starts to taper down to the drop point. Okay, down here it does taper also, but it's not enough to compromise this particular knife. We've done some heavy work with this knife, including chopping, batoning. You know, I mean, I don't know if you can see, but I've used this knife. It's been put through the mill with me because I knew I was going to be doing a video at some point. So it's not going to break. You know, you might have some chips sometimes in the blade if you are not careful. That's just what goes with any blade, you know. So it's not going to break, friend, unless you abuse this knife. If you use it as designed, it will never break on you. Even this drop point that's on here, this modified drop point, we've made probably 6 bow drill sets, maybe more with this, and there was never no inclusions. We didn't break the tip, nothing. Okay, so let me move on to the next thing, the sharpening with the steel. Yes, you're right. It is more difficult than 1095, 1075, a lot of your steels that are out there. But if you have the right hone system with you, you're going to be able to touch this knife up out in the field to what I say is field sharp. No, it's not going to be the same thing as a bench model at home, but if you use the right one out in the field, and the one that I recommend, and I have no contact, I've never even talked to the people, but the folks out at Worksharp, they put out a field sharpener that has 2 diamond plates, a ceramic rod, and a leather strap on the back of it, and it fits in the palm of your hand. It's probably only 5 inches, maybe 6 inches long. I have used that many times on this knife, touching it back up, and it comes back to razor shave sharp. Now I don't think it's shave sharp right now because I've been messing around with it today. It's cold. I had to start a fire, and I didn't expect to run into any problems with anything today, but you know what I did? I ran off without my damn pack. It happens whenever you're doing what I do, okay? I ran off, came out here. So I had to make a fire with this, and I had to baton some wood, and I had to feather stick some wood. I had to do a lot of work with this, including using the ferro rod and the ferro rod striker, okay? So this will do the job. It's not shave sharp right now because, as I said, I guess some spots of it's still real sharp, but you know, just get you the right hone. That's all, the hone system. And that Worksharp, it's about 25 bucks. Sometimes you can get them cheaper on Amazon. That's what you want with a knife like this, okay? So that's controversy number 2. So let's move on to number 3. Does it chop like an axe? Well, you know, I saw that Kickstarter infomercial, commercial that Pazinski put out, and I think he got a little bit overexcited, to be honest with you. I've talked to him about it. As a matter of fact, we wrote an article on the MSK1 after we did the bench review. And I sent a copy of the article off, and in that article, I mentioned to him, or in that article, quoting him that it chops like an axe. David got in contact with me immediately. He said, hey, you got to take that out because it really doesn't chop like an axe. I was a little excited, blah, blah, blah. So in his marketing, he probably got a little bit too zealous, and he mentioned that it chops like an axe. The truth of the matter is, it does not chop like an axe. What does it chop like? Well, it chops better than the average survival knife because of the weight of this knife. It weighs about 1 pound, and because of the girth of it, you're getting a lot of heft on this knife when you swing it. It's great around a campfire. It's great around base camp if you're trying to chop up and baton small pieces of wood. But I took it out in the bush with me. I found me about a 5.5 inch tree, and I chopped it down using this axe. using this knife. And I can tell you, about 5 minutes into that, I'm going, man, this thing does not chop like an axe at all. But I tell you what it does chop like. It chops like a campsite hatchet. I have a Condor Scout hatchet. It's very, very small. It's very light. I love it around the campfire for processing wood. I take it out with me into the bush if I know that I'm not going to be out for more than 24 to 72 hours. It's okay for that. Really, 24 hours is about all, because 72 you're going to need something bigger. But look at the video up here. I'm showing this video up in the right-hand corner up there. You can see, you know, I worked my tail off trying to get through that tree. So no, it does not chop like an axe. And I know that he regrets ever putting that out there, because he's got a lot of grief over it. But it does chop like a hatchet. Okay? Controversy number 4 is the price. $299, and for that price you get this knife, the survival kit that's on the inside of the handle, and a Kydex sheath. It's a very nice sheath. Is it worth $299? I guess it depends on you as the user and the potential buyer. But I'm going to explain to you something, why a knife like this costs so much. I just did a review for Dean Hazuka, who owns Montana Americana Knives. He makes some of the best boutique, handmade custom knives that I've seen anywhere on the planet, and that's the truth. Check out that video on Montana Americana and those survival knives that I've been using of his. Okay, now his knife, if you go out there and look at it, it doesn't have near the features that this knife does, and it is $275. And you get a knife and a sheath for that. It's a boutique knife. All right, so with that being said, what you have here is a very premium knife. Okay, it's not like a Mora, it's not like an SE, it's not like a Gerber. I mean, I go on down the line with knives that are in the $150 to $175 range. They are not in the same class as this. Okay, they do a good job. They're great knives. I'd take any of those out in the bush, to be honest with you. But the reason this one is so costly, A, is because it's made 100% in the United States. That's the first thing. The second thing is the premium steel that is used here, and there's a lot of it, as you can see. All right? And now we're going to get down to the real reason why the price starts to get jacked up. This is just not a piece of stock D2 that has been ground down to form a knife. A lot of thought went into this. He calls it the MSK1. It's the multi-survival knife. I guess Series 1 is how you would, or Generation 1 that you might say. But when you look at this knife, he was like MacGyver when he went at the drawing board, because he wanted to make sure that every inch of this knife was put to good use. I'm going to give you an example. The jimping. There's jimping here on the thumb ramp. The jimping is not just cut in with a grinder or a chop saw and then send it on down the line to the next station. It has been ground down. It has been softened to where you don't get roughed up when you're using this in conjunction with the chole. All right? He's got jimping here. He's got jimping here. If you're going to have a reverse address with this knife, okay? Got jimping here. And then there's also jimping down on the pommel. Some argue that might be a little much. It might be, but that's how Pazinski did it. We're going to continue on here. You've got a lanyard hole that is just not placed at the inside the tang, but if you can see here, it has been done in such a way that the micarta scales come up on it, and it almost becomes a part of the scales itself. It's deep inside of here. It's a great feature. Then next to it is a ferro rod striker. All right, I had to use it this afternoon to start this fire here because I brought no lighters with me. Then as we go on, we'll just talk about the scales here. Micarta scales in and of themselves really aren't that expensive. But when you start putting grooves in it like this, that's another person that has to do another job, okay? That's the type of stuff that causes the price to go up. Here's another feature, a bow drill divot. Did I say bow deal? I did. Bow drill divot right inside of here, inside the micarta scale. Then when you get down here towards the blade, you have got this very, very nice finger choil. I've got big hands, okay? And a lot of times I am getting hot spots because the finger choil is too small. This one is a great size. I love this about this knife, okay? Then on the inside, you have got a full survival kit. It's limited in regards to longevity. It's not made for longevity. It's made for a survival situation that's going to help you survive until you self-rescue or somebody comes and rescues you. Now, I forgot how many features that I just mentioned, but every time that you give a knife to a worker in a shop or in a factory and they have to go to their station and do the jimping, and then the next guy does the lanyard hole, the next guy does the ferro rod striker, the next guy does the micarta scales, the next guy, you see what I'm saying? Over and over again, price keeps jumping up. This knife wasn't made in Paraguay, it wasn't made in Brazil, it wasn't made in Germany, wasn't made in Taiwan, wasn't made in a lot of those places where labor is a lot cheaper than here in the United States. So that's why the price of this knife is $299, because of the materials, where it's been made, and all the features that are placed in it. Now, as I said, it comes with a Kydex sheath. Now, does it sound like I'm in love with the knife? Well, let me just put it to you this way. There are a lot of things about this knife that I like, and then there are things that I don't like. And that's what those next videos are going to cover as we show you how this knife performs. This is part 1 on covering the controversies. So stick around to see the next videos that are come right behind this. Now, if you like our videos, would you reach down there and hit that subscribe button and share and like our videos? Because when you do, you're going to be entered into our monthly giveaway. And we give away knives, multi-tools, books, the very popular Backwoods Biker Survival Fire Kit, the MSK-1. We've given away a ton of those. People really love them. I believe that we've given away more than we've actually sold, but they're very, very nice little kits. I keep one in here, but you can see it's got a ferro rod striker. It's got the ferro rod in it. I keep a little cotton in here as well, but the real star of the show in here is cakes that we make based on a formula that my father taught me back years and years and years ago, over 50 years ago. It's the one I still use with a little bit of a modification, but there's a video out on these too. So listen, thanks for watching. We really do appreciate your support and your help. We're building our channel and building our business. So if you can help us out by subscribing and sharing, we'd appreciate it, because we'd love to give you some gear. Oh, by the way, when you subscribe, make sure that in your settings on your channel, I can see who you are, because there's a lot of guys that have one gear, but because they did not allow us to see their information, like their email, we can't contact them, and they just simply lost out. I hope you weren't one of them. Listen, until next time, you always ride free, you live free, and be safe, especially when you're handling a knife out in the bush.